Hey everybody, Sue Hitzmann, creator of the Melt Method. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's doing great. I wanted to add a little thought here today. I had a good friend of mine call and say that her personal trainer says her glutes are weak. And, okay. So I thought to myself, let's add to this thought, because then she's like, what should I do? And I said, well, if he's a personal trainer, just telling somebody something's wrong and don't set a strategy for them, it's like, that's a problem, don't you think? Somebody's going to point out, hey, you have something wrong. It's like, thank you for noticing a symptom, but like, how do I fix it? Or what's what's actually the source of the problem, and how do I remedy this? So it's March Madness year, or the time of the year. And I always say March Madness for women is that time of the year when you decide you're going to go on vacation and you decide you got to go bikini shopping, and you catch your backside in a three-way mirror and wonder what happened over the winter time to my buttocks. Okay. So look, as you get older, we already know that we lose muscle mass as we age. It's like part of that. And I'm totally into stem cell research now. And I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and learn how to stave this off. But really, strengthening is 100% of the time what you need, okay? If you have hip pain, knee pain, sciatica, piriformis syndrome, my recommendation to you is stop stretching. Don't get nervous, because I'm going to give you some remedies on it. The idea is most often we're not tight. When we have pain in our hips, we're weak. And what I mean by that is on a sensory motor balance state, our nervous system is not having proper firing in the timing of these deep stabilization mechanisms of the pelvis, and it's causing faulty patterns to exist. Now, if you are flexible, like my friend is, she's very, very hypermobile. You keep stretching, you do your yoga. It's interesting when we're hypermobile that we actually gravitate towards things that are going to bring us further that way. But if you stretch when you have hip pain, you're going to become segmentally hyperflexible. And what do I mean by that? Is that instead of getting length and resilience in the muscle bellies, you're going to be hanging off of the tendinous structures and the ligamentous structures around the joints. And this is no good, because you're increasing your chances of pain and instability. And here's the thing I know about mobility, is you can't be efficiently mobile if you're inefficiently stable. So stabilizing your hips is like super critical. And listen, I have been in the industry of fitness since I'm 16 years old. I'm 51 going on 52. And when I was personal training, I think I thought I was the smartest kid in the room. I was going through my master's in physiology and anatomy. 30 years later, I still am confused sometimes about things I hear and the processes that I see people go through to try to transform their bodies. You do not need to annihilate your body, but 100% of the time, if you have hip pain of any kind, again, it could be piriformis syndrome, it could be IT band syndrome, it could be that your hips are always feeling tight, you have low back pain, knee pain, whatever the symptom is, there's a source of instability, and that's neural weakness. So yes, we need to load the body, but if your body's not prepared to load, you're going to have a higher tendency towards joint decentralization as you go through your movements, and you're actually causing more strain on the joints where you tend to have tautness, not tightness, tautness, where there's tissue tension, so that you've lost the elastic properties of your joints. Now, I am like a crazy person on my booty. I do really heavy leg training days, usually about once every 5 days. I go into the gym, slow, methodical. I might be there even for 90 minutes. That's what I'm going to be doing later this afternoon after I'm done with all my phone calls. So in my magical bag of my melt bag, I have only one melt product in here, but I wanted to show you what I have in my bag. I always have my melt resistant band. I'm going to show you a technique that I do with this one. I also love these types of resistant band. My friend Kira Stokes have them. You can find them on Spry. I don't sell these, but they're all over the place, right? In different degrees of resistance. These kind of bands are awesome. One of my favorite ones are the hip circles. You can find these online also. Doing squats with a band around your thigh, super great for slowing you down and ensuring that your joints and your hips alignment is proper. So I love these kind of concepts of using these sort of things. So that's part of my workout. Now, I can't say that I lift as heavy as I used to. Like when I was in my younger days, my late 20s, when I made the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine, I think my arms were about 2 times the size. My thighs were gigantic. I was ripped to shreds in my abdomen, and I had pain. I was in pain. So just because you are muscularly strong doesn't mean that you're neurologically strong. Your neurological inhibition is actually very common in the fitness realm, which is why the dirty little secret of fitness is that most fitness pros actually have chronic joint pain and injury, and as they get older, they are the ones that have the higher tendency toward pain problems. So how can we strengthen our booty? And let me just give you some strategies. I'm going to just give you some quick top of the trees ideas, because I do have a call that I have to get to shortly, and then I'm going to go to the gym. So one of the things I want to clean up is a move called a bridge. Everybody's done a bridge, and in a bridge in yoga, a bridge moves towards a move called a wheel, and that's a full spinal arc. The problem with that is that you can falsely bridge very easily. So oftentimes what a bridge looks like to me is they start here, and the bridge actually activates from their ribs. Right? So I can say, lift up your hips, and actually what your brain thinks is, lift up my ribs, and then I'll get my hips up. Right? So that, if I do all of my bridging like this, I am setting myself up for massive disaster, because what I'm doing is actually compressing my cervical and my lumbar spine without knowing it. So the idea of a bridge, first of all, you want your heels just a little in front of your knees. So don't have your knees all locked out. Kind of walk your feet forward a little bit, about hip width apart. And all you're looking for is to make the ribs the last thing to lift. So if I even anchor my hands over my ribs and I do a bridge right here, and I just hang out here for a second, my brain right now, just holding myself up, whether you know it or not, is going through a file cabinet. It's trying to figure out how many muscles it can recruit to falsely maintain my position. So once I'm here, I kind of relax my hips. I lift up my hips again. I think about sliding my heels away from my butt cheeks, almost like I'm energizing my knees over my toes, and I lift. I lift at the hips, and I try to clear out the crease of my hips. And then nice and slow, I lower down. So it's just a movement of my pelvis as you go through a range of motion. Now, once you have something like that and you activate glutes correctly, you should feel it mostly in the lower fibers of glutes. Now, you could also keep one foot on the ground, take one leg up, keep your heel slack to the butt cheeks. If you want, even press your thigh into your hand, and go ahead and try it again. And you may find that it's nearly impossible, without putting your foot more to the midline, for you to go ahead and lift up the hips and actually activate the glutes properly, right? So that real throw of the hips, again, I don't want to draw up like this and use my arms. I want my arms out of it, and I want to push to lift. Okay, so these kind of things are just some strategies for you, is to really think about where you're getting your lift from when you do any type of a bridge. So try to think of the lower fibers of glutes. And if you want to find out more about really how to be precise about those types of techniques, and about reintegrating the deep stabilization components of the lower fibers of glutes, big mouthful, go to meltmethod.com and become a subscriber of Melt On Demand, or go to my YouTube channel, because there's like a plethora of free stuff over there for you guys who are used to all of your information coming from free sources. Go to YouTube, okay? But if you really want some education, you can go onto Melt On Demand. Okay, so what about a move called a lunge? Lunges are awesome. I like doing a couple of things with my lunges. One is I love using a band just above my knees. And what this is going to do is it's going to enhance my ability to really force my hips into a position that's neutral. And maybe I should mention this. We talk oftentimes about a 4-point square in melt. Your ribs and your pelvis, everything's going to stay in a box line, right? So there's no lateral movement, and that's the problem with most people when they do lunges, is that their hip goes up. And you see all this sort of stuff. And just because you do a lunge does not mean that you are improving your hip stability. Actually, you're probably medially rotating your knee, and you're probably causing torsion on your knee, and probably putting stress on your back. So again, as I go through these movements, if I find that push into the band, and I think right now my right leg is forward, my left leg is back, my left hip stays neutral, stays high, so that as I come down, I can really think almost about this rotation that's almost occurring in my leg. If my left hip were a headlight, it'd be pointing toward my right knee. And then as I come up, I'm going to go forward. That's going to be glute, right? And then again, I'm going to come right back down. So I'm keeping that band in exactly the same amount of tension. And I'm bringing my weight from the center of my foot. It's going to remain there as I push. So notice how the back leg gets straight. The front knee doesn't change. Right? So that's the kind of line I'm looking for when I go through that range of motion. Now you want to do a little bit more for those of you guys who want to really train a little bit harder. Find a box or a bench and get one foot on the top of it. And then same thing, you want to try to get your hips square, right? So again, tendency when people do it is they let the hip drop, their knees kind of buckle inward. So what I'm looking for is that the leg that is non-weight bearing, that hip stays high. I actually think about that as I come down. Once I'm here, I might even want to grab my thigh and twist it around a little bit. Maybe even push and notice how much wobble I have. Try to get it to stay still. And then the same thing, I'm going to come down into my squat, so I'm coming straight down, but then I'm thinking forward as I come up. I'm coming straight down. I'm going forward as I come up so that I get the activation more in my glutes. Now when I do this one, I got two 25-pound dumbbells in my hands as I'm going through it so that I'm really holding the weight and then I'm pushing up. My heart rate goes up like crazy. It's a great training move to do. Okay, so again, options, you got lots of things. Now, what about using a band for those of you guys who have poor knee tracking? Let's come on over here. I'm going to bring you over to my pool area. I love that I have a pool, a little hot tub. And what you would need is a pole, okay? And you're going to take a resistant band and you're going to tie it around. It doesn't really need to be very long, okay? And then you're going to take the band and you're going to bring your calf into it. So before I had the band over my thighs, now I'm going to have the band around my calf, okay? And I'm going to walk away from it so that I have the resistance, and I'm going to come back down into that same position. And the first thing I'm going to check, again, my hips aren't going to be all wonky. I got to get my hip square. And again, if my right hip right now were a headlight, it'd be aiming toward my left knee. So I'm really trying to keep my body isolated. And then from here, I could just try to find a little traction so that the ball of my big toe is staying on the ground. And I try to find that movement. And then I come down a little bit and I go a little forward. And same thing. I go through this movement. And I just warm up the hip a little bit. I'm just activating it. And then keeping tension on the band, I'm going to come down and same thing, I'm going to push up and forward. So again, it's the back leg that's going to straighten out. But my weight is not on my back leg. It's on my front leg. Yeah? And so all of these are great strategies for glute strength. You don't need to like put 700 pounds on your legs, ladies, but you got to put a little bit. And this type of a technique is a great preface. This is something I do before I do a squat. And again, when I do a squat, I have that band on me. I'm going to do this from this side just so you can also see like where I'm going with this, right? So again, I kind of keep that band nice and wide around my shin, right? So I'm here. I come down. I've got this little rotation that I do. And then again, I come down and I go forward. Sorry for the airplane. Down and forward. So I'm really paying attention to the ball of my big toe because my big toe is like best friends with my lateral hip. It's just that it's like my friend Tara. She lives in California and I'm in Florida. So we're kind of far away from one another, but we're super tight and super close, right? So this is kind of the idea, right? So I want to really push and lift. I come down. I push and lift. And again, if I had a little bit of weight in my hand, it's just going to make that much of a difference. So look, if you have hip pain, stop stretching. Please, stop stretching. Add melt to your practice. Learn how to do the compression techniques. Hydrate the connective tissue. Move the fluid perfusion around the joints where fascia is extra durable and tends to get the most stiff and inflexible. And we like some of the stiffness around the joints, right? That's what holds those joint capsules into place. But what we want to do is maintain the fluid components of fascia because that's what maintains the stiff to elastic properties of fascia, which is what gives fascia its extra durable tone, okay? And then lift some weights. So if you are going to do a squat, again, grab that band and put that band around your thighs so that you can come down a little bit lower. Do you know what I'm saying? So this band is like super awesome for stuff like that, right? You kind of bring it up onto your thighs, right? And I'm going to push my legs away. I'm going to find the ball of my big toe, outside my foot, center my heel, right? I can even bring my arms up into the air and see if I could actually manage a squat, right, in that same pose, right? And what are you going to see? This, right? That's a weak booty. You get a weak booty. If you fall, that's all back. You got to get yourself up, push into that band, and sit. Yeah, sit. Get yourself up there. Push. And push. Okay? So bands are great for stuff like that, right? Even just trying to hold yourself here and just standing. It's all the posting leg. This leg's not doing anything. This leg's doing all the work. And hold here. Is my hip up? I bring it down, right? 1,000,001 ways that you can actually add strength, but you've got to load your legs. So if you use melt, there's moves called side hip hero, hover and lunge, the mini bridge, the knee knockers. All of these are on Melt On Demand, and they are great preface techniques. They are great ways to prepare neurological stabilization so that you've got the hip stable and then you load. And if you go into that process when you lift weights your next day, in 48 hours after, your butt is going to be so sore, but you know where it's going to be sore? It's going to be sore right here where you want it, rather than up here. Because when you're only sore up in the upper fibers of glutes, what you're going to become is a butt gripper. Do you know what I'm saying? Like people look like they've got a dollar bill squeezing between their butt because their butt always looks like it's kind of squeezing up. Or like guys where their shorts look like it's going up their butt crack. That's a butt gripper. Don't be a butt gripper. Life's too short for that. Instead, get the lower fibers of glutes to actually activate. And that's what will lift up and tone the shape of your legs, give you a little bit more of that resilience. I'm going to be working on an entire collection come this following month. This month, I focused all on quick, short prep treatments for working out, walking, whatever, but under 20 minutes. Every video that you guys will see this month on Melt On Demand. Next month, and actually, I'm going to be doing some live YouTubes coming up next week and the following week, and I'm going to be doing it for about the next 4 weeks. So I hope that you guys will join me for that, and we'll experience a couple of the nuanced techniques that are going to appear in the Melt Maps on Melt On Demand, and we'll just go over a couple of techniques that are in those 1-hour sessions. So again, if you guys are having hip instability, stop stretching, start strengthening, add a little bit of melt to prepare, and then load your legs. Nice and slow. You don't need to do a ton of repetitions, maybe 8 to 12 reps 3 times. Slowly build your endurance back up again, and I promise you, your hips are going to feel a whole lot better. I hope that helps you guys. Do me a favor today, sip water frequently, eat water-filled foods, reach out to one person that you love today and call them and just say, I'm thinking about you, I love you, I'm so grateful that you're in my life, and put some positive vibes out into the energy out there into the universe, because if you do it, it comes back to everybody. I'm going to see if anybody else has any questions. I will need my eyeglasses for this. I don't know if anyone has said anything, but let's go ahead and see if I can actually find a pair of eyeglasses, to which I might not be able to. I don't know where I put my eyeglasses, which is like the story of my life. But hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of guidance, and I'll check back and see what you guys are asking me here, and if I can answer something, I will. And again, if you want to find out more about the Melt Method and restoring stability, go to meltmethod.com. See y'all later. Happy melting.